Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Thursday ahead of week 4 in the college football season, week 3 in the NFL, week 5 in high school, scattered all over the place. But glad to have you along no matter where and how you're listening, whether it's on one of our great radio station affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, always the right call, in Evansville, up in the region on the voice of the region. 12:30 a.m., 104.7 FM, WJOB. And in Fort Wayne, on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380, The Fan. Keep it locked right where you got it as you travel throughout the day for best sports coverage. And if you're following along on social media, you know the routine. Hit the subscribe and like buttons. Please, please. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Man, you're on the backside now. The weekend is almost here. And your Fridays will be a little bit more freer if you're not going to a high school game. You don't have to worry about scattering between the both of them. Big game for Indiana on Saturday if you're going to the Hoosiers game. 7:30 on Saturday night under the lights. And if you're not, you can watch it on NBC as Indiana, of course, hosts top 10 Illinois. Good news for Indiana, as a matter of fact, as Henry Ollinger, the highest-rated recruit in the 2026 class for Indiana, has shut down his recruitment, and he's going to play for Indiana, although I think he was already committed. But that's good news for Indiana, obviously, as the higher recruits start adding up. That's what you want to see, more and more talent. And he's just one of those. They had a lot of recruits in last week and more coming in this week. As far as there are 22 commitments so far in the 2026 class for Indiana. 4-star defensive lineman Gabe Hill, the class jewel, expected to be back on campus for them. Others slated to return to Bloomington include 4-star athlete linebacker Henry Ollinger, who he's coming back for good now. He has just made that known. Rivals 4-star cornerback Kashmir Hicks, athlete Walker Bryson, tight ends Trevor Gibbs, PJ McFarland, and Parker Elmore. That's a trio of tight ends. Linebacker Jacob Savage, offensive lineman C.J. Sfreeze, and LaRon Dews. A couple guys from the 2027 class. Indiana already has a commitment from quarterback James Purcell, and the Hoosier staff is excited to build around him. He'll be in. The headliner on campus is Rivals' number 1 ranked defensive lineman Jalen Brewster. The Cedar Hill, Texas High School 5-star, camped in Bloomington during the summer. 4-star offensive lineman Kyle L. Johnson out of Cincinnati Moeller High School, and Dewey Young from Kalamazoo. Big group of potential recruits here, or recruits for Indiana. Big weekend. Got a nice commitment or a finalized commitment out of Ollinger. And you get a win over a top 10 team, you're probably going to get another commitment from somebody in that group. Usually just see that happening. It just, you get fired up and makes you just want to go play, get ready. Wins make you do that. Wins take care of a lot of things. Wins take care of a lot of things. Coach Griff joining us on the program today, so we'll get that predictions and all of that put to the test, as well as the rest of the Big Ten schedule this weekend. Dustin Schutte and Matt Taylor from the Colts. Full lineup tomorrow, by the way. Bill Bender from the Sporting News will be with us. So looking forward to that. And so that'll be fun. Of course, the rest of the gang, as we get closer and closer to game day in Bloomington. And man, it's just going to be a great environment. Cannot wait. Weather will be good. And I don't even know how many people to imagine will be out there tailgating. More than will be going to the game. That's for a fact. And the fact that they get to have all day to tailgate. A bonus. That is a bonus for sure. Don't forget to get your college pickups in for ISB. I'm dropped out of the race after my second week buffoonery of forgetting to lock in my my picks. We have a single leader at the moment, and I was trying to get that pulled up, but we'll get that. But yeah, man, got it separated. It's made it a little different this year with the weighted picks. You weight your own picks. So that has made it fun. I think it's made it different. How's your weekend shaping up? Big Ten basketball schedule coming out today. That'll be late in the afternoon. You can catch that live on BTN, or you can go to thehoosier.com. As soon as it comes out, they will have everything up and loaded and ready to go. But the conference schedule coming out. So we'll know who, what, when, and where. Well, I don't know if we'll have all the times. I can't remember if they're going to announce times, TV times. That's a lot of that is fluid. Fluid, as you say in the business. Could have a new basketball league in Europe. This is a partnership between the NBA and FIBA. FIBA is the world governing body for the sport. And the NBA and FIBA working on a league. They're hoping to get it started in 2027, but they're thinking it may work out best to coincide with the LA Olympics in 2028. But about 1 in 6 NBA players currently are European, like Denver's Nikola Jokic, Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo, who have combined for 5 of the last 7 MVP awards. So that's something to that's a feather you can stick your cap in. But some big time names, kind of along the lines of the soccer names, man. Manchester, etc. So we'll keep following that. How about Tom Brady? And I noticed this over the weekend. Tom Brady, or Monday, whatever it was sitting in the coach's booth with headphones on, listening to what was going on. I don't know if he ever would speak, but yeah, that's an issue, man. Because he is a broadcaster for Fox, and in those duties, they meet with the coaches. From both sides, multiple coaches from both sides, before each game. Boy, I got to be honest with you, as funny as the coaching fraternity is and the NFL is, I would be leery about letting, even though he's a minority owner of that franchise, he's obviously enough involved. He's in there on headsets. So I'm like, yeah, that would be not. It seems very New England-esque. Let's just leave it at that, right? Ha! Got that, snuck that one in there. I don't know if you got that. But let's see what else. Indiana basketball has a busy October lined up. That is for sure. Another item added to the agenda yesterday. The Haunted Hall of Hoops. Don't know why they didn't call that the Hoosier Haunted Hall of Hoops. Could have gotten 3 H's in there. But it starts out with Hoosier Hoops on Kirkwood. That's on Thursday, October the 2nd. And then the very next evening on Friday is an open scrimmage. Now, I don't know if that came about because there was outcry from people that not being able to go and just sit. I can see where not everybody wants to go down to Kirkwood and walk around. It's not going to be room or for parking. It's going to be a lot of logistics, a lot of ins and outs, a lot of facets to the situation. So I wonder if that was planned all along. I'm not sure it would have been, because there was no mention of it at the time that when it was announced that Hoosier Hysteria was kind of being replaced by the Hoosier Hoops on Kirkwood. So I'm wondering if if they were smart enough, because this would be a smart move, if so, to strike that balance. But a few weeks after that scrimmage, they will take on Pat Knight's Marion Knights on Friday, October 17th. And that is, let's see, October 17th. That is the week of the Michigan State game, which is at home, football side of things. Then they play Baylor on Sunday, October 26th in Indianapolis. And that is followed up by the Haunted Hall of Hoops on Thursday, October 30th at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. So that's a busy month for Indiana basketball, man. It's about to kick off and get going. And there's Big Ten Media Days coming up. Forgot about that. Got to throw that on the docket. I believe that's October 9 in Chicago. Cheryl Sizemore will be at the Baylor game, as a few of her friends as well. I'm quite certain of that. Quite certain of that. As that's a busy schedule. A little bit busier than it has been in recent times. Big weekend coming up in Bloomington, of course. Purdue will be in South Bend at Notre Dame, and facing a very a Notre Dame team that is probably, let's just say, refocused after starting the season 0-2. They've got to run the table to make it in, and it should be fairly easy with their schedule, but not quite. They've got USC on there, and I think USC is going to be a formidable opponent this season. Big Ten games on the matchup for this weekend. Maryland heading to Wisconsin. That could be an interesting game. Wisconsin, I think, still going with the backup quarterback. Well, we'll see. Oregon State is at Oregon, so that's kind of that should be a breezer for Oregon, who I think might be the number one team in the country. I've said that for a few weeks, and I see that I'm not wrong. I've seen some other people talk about that as well. Notre Dame, number 24 in the AP poll, still at 0-2, as I mentioned, hosting Purdue. Of course, number 9, Illinois, travels to Bloomington, Indiana, to take on the Hoosiers and Kurt Signetti. 7:30, NBC Peacock on Saturday night. Washington is at Washington State. Boy, Washington State got slobber knocked last weekend. So Washington, another team on the rise. They're one of the teams that has had some great metrics. Michigan State goes to USC. That should be a decent challenge for USC, but it'll be interesting to see how that game ends up. He thinks that Indiana wins by 10 over Illinois. I'm not going to disagree with that. I am not going to disagree with that. I could see a score of something like 34-24. Kind of what I'm seeing. But you never know. This could be a higher scoring game. I mean, you've got a great passing attack like the Illini do. Doesn't take much, man. Yes, we will do a post-game show, even though it will be late. I expect that game won't get over until, let's see, 11. I'll go with 11 o'clock. Let's take our first break so we can get to Coach Griff and talk more about all of this football stuff. Appreciate you being with us. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio and Coach Griff after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday, a beautiful Thursday, a beautiful day to be down at Fritz Lick playing golf. Unfortunately, that's not what I'm doing. I'm working here with you guys. My man Brendan Sweeney, not sure if he's in town, but man, they've got a new course going on down there. I need to get him back on and talk about that again. We were down there just recently for the media day for the Corn Ferry Tour Championship, coming to Fritz Lick again, where they will be hosting that for last year, this year, and 3 more years after that. But got a Bloomington native that making some noise there. Making some noise. But, yeah, they've got a new course going on down there, Coach, to add to their other championship-level courses they already have, which are first stunningly beautiful. Just to go there and walk around is a treat in and of itself. But anytime you go down to French Lick, you get transported back into time.
Yeah.
And it's such a relaxing. Robert asking, is the cigar shack still open? That's a question for Brendan Sweeney. I don't know that answer to that question. There you go. Corn Ferry Tour, October 5 through the 12th, baby. Ridgeview Golf Course. There you go. It's like I got a producer in my ear and I'm getting fed information. Love it. I need to got to get him on here more often just to pump that stuff to me. But yeah, they're not slowing down, and no reason to. No reason to. It is just such a popular destination.
Yeah.
And it just continues to grow. Yeah, we'll get you back on here, Brendan.
Plus the
pay me. Send him some money, he says. Send him some money. Pay the lady. All the peeps down at French Lick are tremendous. And they host a lot of IU events down there, by the way, to get down there for. But it's, man, if you haven't gone there, spent the night, played some golf, you're not living. And that new course is someplace where you could go with family more, because it won't be quite as challenging as, let's say, the Donald Ross course, which is a challenging putting nightmare for me because they're challenging. But boy, the Pete Dye course, it's just a thing of beauty. It's like you can look in every direction, and it's like looking out at a painting or a portrait, especially like in the early morning, the late afternoons, towards sunset. It's one of the highest places in the state, by the way, there in Orange County. So yeah, get down to French Lick, baby. I can't wait to get back down there. That happens to the Corn Ferry Tour Championship coincides with Indiana being away in Oregon. So if you're a golfer, get out and see some great golf at a great place. There you go.
Plus the casino down there, right?
Oh yeah.
Casino.
Oh yeah. It certainly is. Hey man, welcome aboard, Coach Griff. How are you?
Good day, sir. Doing well. Just getting prepared for tonight, doing all the things ready for the show tonight. Talk about this ball game Saturday.
Is there a game Saturday?
Yeah, it's just a game.
Just another. That's what Signetti said.
That's right. Just another game.
That's almost exactly what he said, right?
Yeah. Plus, he said that they're really good.
Well,
it's just another game, and they're really good.
Two things can be true at the same time.
That's right.
Two things can be true at the same time.
He's a man of wisdom.
He's a man of few words when he knows he needs to be.
That's right. That was what somebody was, I can't remember if it was on BTN or another sports channel. They were talking about how much Signetti has kind of moved into the back row instead of the front row this year in terms of what he says, how he says it, very, very more subdued, I guess you would say, in that regard.
Let's wait to see what happens after they beat Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's just waiting for that time.
I still think, I don't know. I still think it will depend upon, I think Indiana's being undervalued right now.
Yeah.
And to back that up, the point spread, did it move to 5.5?
It did yesterday in the afternoon. Now, I don't know if it's gone back down or not, but yeah, that's the way it seems like it got up there to 5.5, which kind of really surprises me. I thought it would be tighter than that big.
But what does that tell you?
Well,
not that it's always dead on, but let me tell you, Vegas ain't making and building all these Taj Mahals on losers.
No.
But yeah, that tells me Vegas has some confidence in Indiana.
Well, Vegas lost a lot of money on Indiana a year ago because they made them.
Oh, did they ever, man?
They made them the underdog in about 8 games last year, and Indiana kind of disrupted their cash flow for a little bit because there was some people cashing some tickets last year.
I will remain quiet.
Sure,
but
so
but I will say this, like the idiot that I am, I kept thinking of what would have been great bets had I thought of it at the time. First of all, you could have, I forget which game did they not cover? Michigan was the first, but there was one at the start of the year. I can't remember if they covered in the FIU game, but
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I think that is accurate. But then week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, whenever Michigan, you could have just made one bet and then just rolled it for like 5 weeks and done pretty well.
Yeah, and I don't think
my man Brendan, he knows. He's the king.
Yeah, I can't remember if Ohio State covered the points in that game either. I can't remember what the spread was. But yeah, the spread has moved pretty, I guess, back and forth a little bit all week. I don't know what at this moment what it is. Like I said, that 5.5 was yesterday afternoon when I had checked it, and the over and under was like 52.5, which I was surprised. I thought that would be a little bit higher than what they had it at. But again, like you said, Vegas going to put a number there that's going to favor them, and 9 out of the 10 bets or 8 out of the 10 people that bet it. So, but it is look, I think it's a game that I think Indiana's defense is going to have to get after Luke Altmaier's.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't
Can't
think
let him stand back there and throw. That's
right.
Plus, they have a decent running game.
They do. I would say their offensive line is their weakest part of their offensive side of the ball. They've given up,
which is amazing because
Duke doesn't lose that game. It's a much tighter game than what the score resulted in at Duke. Duke turned it over 5 times, 3 with inside their own territory.
But so they also sacked out. Didn't they sack the Duke quarterback like 6 times?
I mean, it was a high. He had, I think, 2 fumbles, if I'm not mistaken, mostly on scrambles where he was scrambling outside of the pocket. But that game was a lot tighter than what the score indicated because it was a 14-13 game at half. So it was a nip and tuck game. What Duke did is
nip and tuck.
They were very aggressive against Illinois. Of course, when the score started getting lopsided and they had the short field to drive, I mean, Duke had no prayer then. But you got to pick your time. Of course, you just can't say we're going to do this every time. But you've got to do things that confuse the kid because he's too smart of a quarterback. That's the thing. He can make all the throws. And if you let him sit back there in a pocket and you're just going to rush 3 or 4 guys every time, you may not get home enough. So they're going to have to be aggressive, and not just on passing downs, but even first down, because like you said, Fagan is a legitimate running back. He's like Kimby, he's 6'3", he's 255 pounds, and he's a load. And, they got some talented kids on the outside that can, go get the football. But, and then on defense, I just think they're quick. They're very quick. I don't think they're overly big on defense, but they have quickness, and they do a lot of different stuff with their front. And, you could see a 3-man front, 2 linebacker set, a 3-man set, 1 linebacker set. I mean, you got a multitude of coverages you'll see from them. They'll disguise it and roll it. So, this is a game Fernando's going to have to be smart on his ball delivery.
Mendoza.
Because what they do in the secondary and then how fast they get after you, he's got to be able to make the quick read and get the ball in and out of his hands, because he's not going to be able to just sit back there and hold it, because they do got some guys that can get after it pretty good. And then when they bring pressure, they bring pressure. I mean, that's the thing. They just kind of pick the poison at that moment and go with it. But I do think, this is where Fernando's, like I said, he's going to have to display a, poise under fire type of mentality, because, when he's getting pressured, that's when his completion percentage when getting pressured is about 40%. And that's what he's going to have to be ready for, because they're going to pressure him. They're going to get after him, because they're just not going to let him, like Altmaier, they're not just going to let him sit back there and play zone behind him and let him pick apart with Omar and Surratt and EJ Williams.
Pick apart. Man, isn't that a junkyard?
Yeah, it's junkyard, pick apart junkyard. But that's the thing that
I missed my there we go. I've got to get a better one than that. It takes too long.
Takes too long. Have to cut it down.
Too long. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, this is a game for him. And I think it's the right game at the right time for him, because I think in the last 3 weeks, you've seen him make marked improvement in the offensive system, and him becoming very comfortable in and very confident in the scheme, because some of the throws he made against Indiana State, and I know people are going to say Indiana State, these throws, a couple of those throws that were touchdowns, he threw it into a tight window about 4 times in that game. And that just shows me a quarterback that's got confidence in not only his receivers, but in himself, that he can fit the ball in tight windows. And, he'll have to do the same on Saturday, because it's not going to be, a game where he can just sit back and pick people apart. And their secondary, I say, is pretty good.
Well, and I will say this, and I've said it all week. The one thing, even though they were playing Indiana State, I always throw that caveat out, so we know that the challenge was not the greatest. It wasn't about the coverage. It was just about what I saw. I mean, it was almost, you could almost have erased the Indiana State players. I was just watching what Fernando was doing, going through his progressions at times, but also he was just throwing dimes, man, darts. These throws were crisp. They were on, and there's a damn moth in the studio tracking all these stupid lights. But yeah,
no, you're right.
And that's 2 weeks in a row where he has thrown multiple touchdown passes to a single receiver. 7 touchdowns to 2 receivers in 2 weeks in 5 quarters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe. Because he did not play at all in the second half in the Indiana State game, and he didn't play in the fourth quarter in the game prior to that.
Right.
So that's another thing. Statistics, man, they should do these by quarters or halves. That's
true.
Quarters would be better. It would be a more accurate reflection of a of quarterback's production.
No question.
Because if Indiana played, let's say that they had 3 straight games where they just kicked the ever-loving snot out of somebody, you're not going to see Fernando benched at not benched, but taken out at halftime against a Big Ten team. I don't think, unless they were up huge. But 3 quarters, you could see that a lot. So yeah, I think that would make a difference, because if you had 4 games where you only played 3 quarters or less, that's an entire game that you're not playing, but is going on to the average of your statistics.
And I'm
not as dumb as I look, am I?
No, and that's kind of where the QBR rating comes into play too. It kind of gives you a little bit better understanding of how a quarterback is or isn't doing based upon the data. But I just think this is a game that, both offense and defense are going to have to be aggressive from the start. They're going to have to, go right at them quickly. Roman Hemby's got to be a bulldog in this game, because he can be a guy that separates, this defense that wants to get after people. You put him in there, and he's a guy that can run over people. And I do think too that Coach Shanahan is going to have targeted throws, especially when it comes to Surratt, Jones, and EJ Williams, in almost a deliberate way of, okay, how can I get Surratt the ball here, and those type of things. And play calling, sometimes you got to call plays for the player rather than plays for the offense. You know what I mean? Your focus and target is for that particular player. How do I get the ball in his hands? And there's a multitude of ways to do that. But I think they're going to have that type of game plan where it's an aggressive game plan, but yet targeted at their best players. I
think that Fernando, that's something he realized after game one, where he was just out there getting his feet wet, so to speak. Not that it wasn't his first game, obviously. He's played a ton of college football, but in this offense and the scheme and all that's going on with these guys in game situations, but you could quickly see, the progression. Excuse me. I thought it was quick and obvious. How much? Well, we'll take a break. We've got lots more coming up. Coach Griff with us right now. Dustin Schutte's going to join us later, and as will Matt Taylor from the Colts, as they look to go 3-0. Man, what's going on in the wide world of football in the state of Indiana, baby?
Daniel Jones.
Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Glad to have you along. Coach Griff with us as well right now. Dustin Schutte will join, and Matt Taylor as well. And on the program, some news coming out yesterday, or did this happen actually the day before? I think actually. The NCAA eliminates the spring transfer portal window and going down to a single portal, but they have not approved the new dates yet in January. It was proposed for January 2nd through 11th, but that has not been approved yet because most of the coaches are okay with it, but the Big Ten coaches are not with it. And I understand, well, mainly the Big Ten coaches at places like Ohio State and Michigan and Oregon and probably Penn State, because they expect to be playing in the CFP during this time. And again, how in the hell can you have an open transfer portal when teams are playing? Now, it's very minimal amount of teams, I granted, and you can't just say, well, okay, if you're on this team, your portal gets extended, because that still might go into the start of the semester. So, as I like to say, a lot of ins and outs, a lot of facets to the situation.
Well, yeah, and you're correct. The reason why it's the January 2nd date is because of the second semester that schools are getting ready to partake in. And if the kid's going to transfer to another school, he's got to get there and enrolled, because that's the only way he's eligible to participate in the, the entire deal and such. So that is going to be the thing for him that is going to be, that's why it's the way it is. Now, I'm in agreement with the Big Ten and most of the coaches. They probably need to move it back to the maybe middle of January, or the day after the national championship game, or 2 days after the national championship game, and keep it open for X amount of days. Then you don't have the situation where you're trying to recruit kids while you're preparing for a playoff game or whatever it may be. Sometimes I think they do it not to penalize those schools, but to say, how much more transfers do you need on a team that's already geared with already 4 and 5 stars? You know what I mean? It's almost like they're trying to say, look, you go that far, you've got the best players in the country. Why do you need to be in the portal? I kind of feel like that's kind of what they take a stance against the teams that are the best teams, to try to create more parity, I guess you would say. But it's all has to do with the academic calendar. And there are so many things that are unanswered, especially with academic calendars, and what are the kids, what is their responsibility academically per se, and so forth and so on, that we still don't know. I mean, are schools being still graded about how well they graduate their players and things of that nature? I mean, there's so much that we don't know, but I like the fact they went down to 1, and I think that gives them a chance to just do what they need to do, and then not worry in the spring about having another transfer window where you could lose guys. But on the flip side, you may be able to pick up some guys, which Indiana has the last couple of years during that portal time.
Well, the one thing this does is eliminate those worries for post-spring game, where a guy doesn't move up the depth chart enough, and so he heads off to Timbuktu. But, man, I think this getting down to 1 transfer portal is great if they could just get the date right.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not? Is it? I guess it's just the majority of coaches are not going to be playing it during that period.
Yeah, that's like I said.
To be honest with you, but the majority of good teams are going to be playing, because even if they're not in the CFP, the mini bowl games that still go on, and we had seen such an uptick in players staying for bowl games, which I think that could still be maintained through rev share. And then, hey, you only get this money paid in full if you are here for the full season, unless you get hurt.
Right.
Now,
yeah, they got to find ways to keep guys in the bowl games.
Yeah, because they can't. The players can't have everything. They can't have their cake and pie and eat it too.
Correct.
Which is exactly what that would be like.
But Dan Lanning had I think a pretty good idea, and I think it made sense, is that he thinks that the overall season, including the college football playoffs, so forth and so on, should end January 1, which would require them to move the season up quite a bit. But he's saying is that in order to have a rule like they're trying to do with this window, it would be in the best interest of everyone if the season actually ended by January 1 or January 2nd, so that after that you can have your window for the players portal and everybody's on equal ground, which made a lot of sense. And that solves the issue with the January academic term that also, requires this rule to be in place, but it eliminates those teams now having to go on through the middle of January, the end of January in some cases for the championship game. So, I mean, that would require them probably to move the start of the season up to about the middle of August. If I'm calculating right, which the bad thing there is, well, you won't be in school. You would have weekend games and not have anybody else on campus.
Joe comments, says, this entire mess rests with the NCAA. Yes, it does. They refuse to compromise, and now the pendulum has swung so far in the players' favor. It's a complete mess. I agree with that as well. Now, I'm not going to say that it wouldn't have gotten to this point anyway, but had they been smarter than they were, it would have been a slower, more gradual process, probably easier. Or is it just easier to just rip the Band-Aid off, man, and to eventually get to the point where they're trying to get to? To go along with this, there is something called SCORE, S-O-R-E, that is an act that is trying to be pushed through Congress. And try to pull that up, but it is, I forget what the acronym, see if I can pull it up. Student Compensation and Opportunity Through Rights and Endorsements Act, SCORE Act, passed through the committee in the House of Representatives, a milestone no sweeping college sports bill had reached before. Then, to further ramp it up to the issue, President Trump has signed an executive order, and most everyone involved with the SCORE Act agreed it still had hurdles to clear and was likely to hit a wall if it did get to the Senate. Still, there was optimism bringing the bill, but now it's in limbo. There speculation and anticipation last week that the bill could hit the floor this week, but as of this past Monday, that's no longer the case. Exactly what that means, it's unclear, but generally legislation doesn't go up for a vote until those who want it to pass know that it has the votes to do so. So why is it stalled? What does that mean? The SCORE Act's progress through Congress has most likely been driven by Republicans, it says, not to get political, but has some bipartisan support with 6 Democratic co-sponsors. It checks the boxes that college sports leaders have been looking for in federal legislation: a limited antitrust exemption for the NCAA and the conferences, the preemption of state laws that created a patchwork of rules and regulations, and the prevention of college athletes from being deemed employees. Those are 3 important things that's got to be gotten together. That's why there has been such imbalance in it. But surely there has to be an agreement, but it's going to take potentially collective bargaining. And how do you get collective bargaining? I guess you could do it as a group. You don't have to be employees, but
I don't think there's anything that says you have to be. What I think is going to happen to get where you're going is what Kentucky did, and the athletic.
Well, they're not alone. They're not alone. Yeah, the LLC.
Yeah, the athletic departments are going to have to basically end their relationship with the institution and become a separate entity to help limit the antitrust liability, number one. And that also puts them outside the area of being an employee of the university. So I think that's going to gain a lot of headway moving forward as time moves forward, because I think that's the only way that you're going to help the matter is the athletic departments are going to have to be outside the realm of the university and not, including the staffing of those athletic programs. They'll no longer be employees of Indiana University per se. They would be the employees of the LLC, which creates another dynamic in some of the aspects of how their labor laws are written in each and every state, as it pertains to higher education. So yeah, it's going to, like you said, it's going to take time to move through this. We're going to be in this situation for quite some time before all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And I do think one of the factors that will hold that bill up is the aspect of collective bargaining. And there's entities outside of right now that are.
Well, but it doesn't limit them in pay. There's nothing about pay per se. That's a good thing, and it doesn't give them anything to gripe about. But one of the sticking wickets part is even though you'd think that they would have an advantage with the Republicans holding a 6-seat advantage in the House and having some bipartisan support, but you then enter Cody Campbell, billionaire businessman and Texas Tech booster who has emerged as a major figure in the debate over how to save college sports. Campbell says the SCORE Act gives too much power to the NCAA and doesn't do enough to protect Olympic and women's sports from being cut. Well, first of all, this has nothing to do with, in my opinion, protecting that. You cannot run a business the way NCAA athletics have been run at universities.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be frank. None of those programs make money. All of those programs lose money. Be clear on that. So why, on God's green earth, they're not going to take away one woman. If they had to take away a women's program, there would be a men's program that went away as well. So don't get started on that jive.
Right.
That drives me nuts. You have to look at it as a business. It is a business. It is a multi-billion-dollar business, and you have to run it as such. Football is the engine that drives the train, people. It's the only reason some of those programs have life.
No question.
Being honest.
Well, and that's why I think the collective bargaining issue is going to be a hot button topic. What I was trying to say there was there are already entities outside the scope of this that are recognized as trying to become the leader in the quote unquote player collective bargaining movement and wanting to be that driving force or the head of the players union, if you want to call it that, that would negotiate all these things, and some of the things they're going to have to be talked about too is like, how many practices is a kid going to have to go to after the, when you go into the off season where they're doing A, B, C, and D. And I've seen one proposal is when they're in competition, they're not in class. So
that's crap.
They would take the bulk of their classing in the off season would be in football, it'd be winter and then through the summer, which they already do now. So it's a matter of, how you do things. So there's so much things that
12 hours is a full class load. And you can take 12 hours during the semester that you're playing sports. Nobody said it was going to be easy. You're getting paid to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a problem. I'm like, no, I would not back that. Want to see what else was said that I just saw that drove me nuts. But there were two, a Republican from Washington and a Democrat from Washington. Oh, states of Washington. They say the score is good for power conferences, not so much for the rest. Again, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
How is that different than now? The ones that aren't a part of the power conferences are not. They are what they are. They're not going to be playing for a national championship.
No.
There will not be a non-P4 school, save for Notre Dame, that will be playing for a national championship. So again,
Right.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hey, we've got to take a break. We've got more coming up. Dustin Schutte is going to join us. Matt Taylor will join us. Coach Griff is with us. Back with more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Glad to have you with us, no matter where or how you're listening. Coach Griff along for the ride as well. Looking forward to talking to Matt Taylor from the Colts today as they look to go 3-0 this weekend with a road game, but a winnable road game, but it means nothing in the NFL. Nothing. Yeah. Tennessee coming off of, a loss to Denver the week before. Indianapolis played Denver, and you want to talk about pulling one out of your aspirin bottle, buddy. The Colts did that on last Sunday when they didn't quite get themselves in position for a game or winning field goal. And
Steichen blew
that.
Steichen
admitted to, and he admitted to such, but I'm sitting there or when watching it going, dude, are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
You can't do that 4 times in a row. You're you've got a 60-yard field goal right now. You've got to try. And they had enough time, and that's just a little bit of a lack of confidence. And why, I don't know. Jonathan Taylor had a great day. Jones had been playing so well. Woo. That's not exactly
yeah, it
Pete
made
Carroll having his team throwing an interception on the goal line in the Super Bowl, but that was, you got to be a little bit more chancy than that, I think, to win this year. We'll talk more about that when Matt joins us. But that was amazing. Ooh. And inexplicably, Denver is just as dumb. They have a 60-yard field goal attempt. There's no way I'm jumping off sides.
Yeah, that was.
There's
dumb.
no way of doing anything. They didn't, but the infraction was leverage, which is jumping off of a teammate or something like that. Which
it's a very complicated rule.
Dive over the line. Yeah,
it's purely subjective.
Why chance that?
No, I get you.
Why chance that? And
there was no
Denver
reason.
Deserved to lose that game
just as much as in some cases Indianapolis deserved to lose it because of the clock management towards the end of the game that Steichen just, I just didn't get it, and him running the ball. I mean, I get it. At some point, you gotta put the ball in the position the kicker can kick it from. But I thought he needed at least 5 more yards, if not 10. So it was to at least give him a guarantee that this kid's got enough leg to get it there. And not that the 60-yard field goal wasn't in his range. There's just too much air involved in that type of kick. Anyway, we'll feel
distance.
Yeah, it had the distance, but it's just
pushed it a little to the right.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit harder to hit because you're, kicker kicking at 60. I mean, they're really trying to put a pounding on it as opposed to.
That's pushing the envelope.
Yep.
As one would
say.
Hey,
but they're 2-0.
There you go. We'll talk more about that when Matt Taylor joins us. I talked earlier before you joined as far as Indiana football goes. Great recruiting news as first of all, they have an abundance of big-time players coming in this weekend for visits.
Yeah,
I'm talking 4-star Henry Ollinger, who we'll get back to in a second, but 4-star cornerback Kashmir Hicks, Walker Bryson, 3 tight ends, and linebacker and a couple other guys. 2027 class, Indiana already has a commitment from James Purcell at quarterback. And the headliner coming is Rivals' number 1 ranked defensive lineman, Jalen Brewster. Man, that's a big recruit right there. Defensive lineman, hello. You're talking upper echelon fighting with the big boys. But all those guys coming in this weekend, Coach.
Yeah, and the aspect of Indiana now being in a position to start knocking on the doors of these 4- and 5-star recruits.
And them answering.
Yes, because of brand awareness, right, has grown in a quick period of time.
Now, because of rev share.
Just not only that, but, they've come on the scene at the right time to capture a lot of the momentum in the national media spotlight. I mean, this is one thing that is a part of this ball game. Illinois is not overly happy the fact that Indiana was the darling of the country last year and getting all the quote unquote high praises and media attention as opposed to Illinois, who had a significant season and actually beat South Carolina in the SEC that was supposedly should have gotten into the college football playoffs. So there's an angle there that I think Bielema's been using quite frequently with his ball club about this weekend. But the fact that Indiana has a recruiting weekend that's involving high caliber talent tells you that the interest has grown.
Without question. And I mentioned earlier before you joined us, Indiana commit in Grandview Heights, Ohio prospect Henry Ollinger has officially shut down his recruitment. He told Rivals on Wednesday night. Ollinger is ranked the number 104 player in the Rivals rankings, but the number 4 athlete in the 2026 class. That is where, their overall ranking is not as important as where their position ranking in. And that's pretty high. Initially, he chose the Hoosiers in April over Iowa, Miami, Boston College, Rutgers, and Virginia. But shortly after, Ohio State started to ramp up its interest in Ollinger, even visiting him a few times following his commitment. Ollinger was recruited by programs as a running back and a linebacker, but he'll play linebacker at Indiana, 6'1", 213 pounds. He's been a standout player over the course of the last 2 seasons. He did rush for 1,700 yards, averaging 12 yards per carry as a junior, and racked up over 2,000 all-purpose yards while scoring 32 touchdowns with 0 fumbles. He led the team in tackles, averaging close to 12 per game. He had an okay year.
Yeah, I would imagine.
That's an athlete. Is exactly what he is as an athlete.
My breakdown of him is still probably there somewhere on the Hoosier.com. That's probably because I did him over the summer after he recruited or committed. And he is a very talented kid that, like you said, he has great speed and he does have great lateral quickness that makes him a great fit to be a linebacker. And especially with Indiana, what Indiana likes to do. And so again, this is all a part of the foundation that Coach Cignetti is trying to build up so that they don't have to commit to having to go to the portal so heavily each and every year trying to find, a dozen players or 15 players that have to be ready to come in and play when the foundation and growth is happening in his own program. So this is just another step in that direction. And Hendry is a talented kid. He's a smart kid too. I mean, he's not, he's a bright kid. And I think he's going to be a kid that Indiana is going to be tickled to death to get him out on the field and in the weight room and see how far they can get this kid to go, because I do think he has a tremendous upside as well.
Yeah, and it shows that I think you may have mentioned this earlier, but it's starting to have that effect now. Winning at Indiana is starting. Mm-hmm. They see, okay, this is for real. And but then again, rev share, don't think that is not that's equal the playing field in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Now, it doesn't mean that doesn't mean Ohio State and Michigan and all that doesn't have bigger NIL war chest. They do, but this still gives a lot of schools the possibility of getting players of this ilk.
Yeah, I think Indiana's war chest in the NIL is pretty darn good. Now, it may not go as deep.
It's not going to, I wouldn't put it that way if you're going to compare it to Michigan or Ohio State. I mean, we know what has been rumored they paid for the freshman quarterback.
No, I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is that it's got some of the depth that maybe some of the top program has. It just doesn't have enough of it to broaden it across multiple players in terms of how you spend those dollars. Now, when it comes to NIL, I'm still trying to learn what are the ramifications there, because technically the schools are not supposed to have any say so in how a kid earns NIL dollars.
I don't think they have a say so per se. They can assist them in probably meeting, making connections, but any deal that is struck has to go through the NCAA NIL clearinghouse, which that's another issue that's going to be settled in the courts eventually, because as soon as the first time the NCAA, if it's already happened, says, no, this deal is not viable. It's outside of the parameters for viable market worthiness, or et cetera, they're going to sue. Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you think is going to happen until there has to be, I think college football is going to need a salary cap. Sorry, lack of a better word.
Yeah, that's what they've already talked about. I've heard that mentioned several times, even by coaches.
But that would only fall under the rev share, because NIL is outside of that, and you cannot limit the ability for make money. Hey, before we finish that conversation, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll get Dustin in on the conversation. And just so he knows, we're just talking about the differences with rev share and NIL, and what NIL can do for players and how that is differentiated between the two. The schools are supposedly removed from NIL, but let's be honest here. They might be removed by having an office down the hallway, removed in that manner, but they are working hand in hand. You believe me on that. We got to take a break. Dustin Schutte's going to join us next. Coach Griff is with us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with plenty more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday of week 4 of the college football season. Indiana hosts number 9 Illinois this weekend. Purdue goes to number 24 Notre Dame. And riding in on that train, you know him, you love him, you can't do without him.
Oh. That's good. I like that. I like that intro.
Dustin Schutte, everybody. Justin Schutte joining us. Yeah, I keep little toys we've added. I keep forgetting that I have those. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I can see you with your little engineer's hat sitting on like a miniature train coming in, and that would be perfect. We need a video. Need a video to create for those that follow on YouTube. Little video intro of you in that very thing. I think, oh boy, got to find somebody that's better at it than me. But just a picture of you riding in with the conductor's hat on top of the little train. That'd be something, huh?
I think we used to have in our house one of those wooden train whistles, and I'm pretty sure my dad threw it away one night because we would just annoy everybody in the house.
I can only imagine why. I can only imagine why. Appreciate you being with us out there. Dustin Schutte from SI, Boilermakers on SI, as he covers boys in West Lafayette. Coach Griff with us as well. And, it wasn't easy last week, although Purdue played surprisingly well. USC, I think, was affected by the travel. That we see that happen a lot. But, man, no worries about that this week. It's a short trip for Purdue, but it might be a long trip home as Notre Dame has started the season 0-2, and they are not going to be happy. They not only need to win, they need to kick some butt.
Yeah, and it reminds me of last year when, going into that game, Purdue had felt pretty confident, at least from the fans' standpoint, because Notre Dame the week before had lost to Northern Illinois. And so you felt pretty good about that. And now you enter a similar situation where Notre Dame's going to be out to prove something. 0-2, and both of those losses, they've had really good chances to win. So the Boilermakers are going to have to be ready for Notre Dame's best shot. It's a home game for the Fighting Irish. It's a chance that it's their best chance to get a win on the board so far this season. So it's going to be interesting. But last week I thought, you look at the final score and it looks like it wasn't that close, 33-17 USC. But really, Purdue moved the ball extremely well. They got into the red zone multiple times, 3 interceptions in the red zone. I mean, it's a completely different game. Even if you wipe away that pick 6 in the third quarter, it's a completely different football game. So I think that I mentioned this before the season. There was never going to be like a Kurt Cignetti type turnaround for Purdue. I think there was too much roster turnover. I think the schedule was too difficult. But this team is far and away better than it was a season ago. I mean, the effort is there. I think when you watch the game, you could tell that USC had the most talented players on the field. This wasn't just Jaden Maiava or some of those talented receivers, Ja'Kai Lemon. There were a lot of positions where Purdue got beat, but yet they hung tough and they gave themselves an opportunity. They didn't get quite within striking distance, but they had a chance to make some noise in that game. So I think it's going to be a much more enjoyable product, even if the wins aren't there this season.
I agree. And I kind of already had a belief in that from how they played early on. You could just tell it was not a hapless team at all. And hopefully after they get past Notre Dame, they'll have they've got more wins in them. I don't doubt that at all, because they are far from the worst team in the Big Ten. That will belong to UCLA for the remainder of the year. What a mess they're in. But this is a mess Purdue was in the last year or two.
Yeah.
And you get the right guy in, and you see what a difference it can still make in today's college game. Tell you what, we're going. Dustin, can you stay with us and stick around for the next segment? We're going to pull in Matt Taylor in now from the Colts. Boy, we got it all going on. Purdue, Notre Dame, Indiana, the Colts, Matt Taylor to top it off. Hello, Matthew.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Wonderfully. Dustin Schutte from Boilers on SI, and Coach Griff with us as well. The Colts, my kingdom for the Colts, as they go 2-0 for the first time since 2009, but they've got a shot to go 3-0. It's a road game, but Tennessee's beatable. But man, in the NFL, if we've learned anything, it's any given Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been nice. I mean, it's been really, really refreshing to watch high execution, precise execution at that. And I think that's the biggest thing for me that I'm most impressed by. I mean, check out these stats. The Colts are the first team in the history of the NFL to score points on the first 10 possessions of a game. They're the only team in the history of the NFL to not punt in each of their first 2 games. They haven't had a turnover yet on offense. They're racking up almost 900 yards through the first 2 games of the season. They scored 62 points. Daniel Jones is number 2 in the NFL in passing yards, and he's top 5 in completion percentage and passer rating. I mean, this level of execution is reserved for like middle of the season, like right around Thanksgiving time, when you start really kind of humming and finding out who you are, and you get all your playmakers involved, and you build up a lot of rapport and synergy. You don't see this right out of the gate, especially for a team that has a new quarterback. So it's incredibly impressive what they've been able to do. I think it all kind of harkens back to the intensity and how hard I think training camp was. It was a very physical camp, and famously Shane Steichen, the head coach, said that we're going to drill and did end up drilling over 400 more plays during training camp this year than they had done last year and in the recent years in the past. So I think that's all kind of coming to fruition, and it's high level execution, and it's really fun to watch right now. And I think the most exciting thing about this team going forward is that it looks to be sustainable. It looks to be very transferable, which gives you a lot of hope going forward for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's no doubt about that. And Shane Steichen, not that he will, because lots of games left to play, but he's got to be walking around with a little air in his chest right now. I mean, feeling good about his decision. He knew what he was doing, and that has shown to be the case thus far. But they have a chance to go 3-0. When's the last time they started 3-0?
That same year that you mentioned, 2009. That was the year where they started the year 14-0. And then, infamously rested the starters at the end of the season, didn't chase perfection. They ended up making the Super Bowl that year, But that was the year that's probably most going to be remembered for coming up short against the Saints in the Super Bowl.
The football gods were, oh God, that interception. I'll never forget. Yep.
Yeah.
Ah, boy. Yeah. Ha. Ooh. I wasn't even involved in that game, and that's something that would haunt me forever. I couldn't get by it. But
well, it's a very lightning rod situation. If you remember, 15, 16 years ago, the Colts had everything wrapped up with 2 or 3 games left in the regular season. They couldn't improve upon their, number 1 seed status in the playoffs. And so Bill Polian was very much an advocate of resting guys. These guys go through so much, wear and tear throughout the course of the season. If we can rest these guys towards the end of the year, we're going to do it and take that opportunity. And they did, instead of chasing perfection, trying to be the first team in the history of the league to go, undefeated in the regular season all the way through the playoffs. Well, I guess the Dolphins did it. What was that year? 1972, but you get the idea. So, that was a great season, but also a heartbreaking season because of how it ended in the Super Bowl.
Speaking of perfection, Coach.
Yeah, I guess you could say that Daniel Jones has won the hearts of many now that the Colts are 2-0 and he's number 2 in the NFL.
So far,
yeah. How is that in itself kind of affecting the building in a positive way there at the Colts complex?
Yeah, if you look at Daniel Jones, I think you can look at a ton of other decisions that the Colts have made this entire off season, bringing in, or I should say moving guys to different positions along the offensive line, right? Matt Gonzalez goes to guard from tackle. Danny Pinter and Tanner Bortolini were locked into a center position battle in training camp. They decided to go with Tanner, and he's played really well through the first 2 games of the season. They draft Tyler Warren, and that looks like an absolute home run decision in the first round of the draft. So, all of the decisions the Colts have made, dating back to the start of free agency. By the way, Charvarius Ward, Cam Bynum are paying off in the secondary. The decision to move on from Gus Bradley to Lou Anarumo as the defensive coordinator. All the right moves, baby. They're pushing all the right buttons. But again, like you said, it's a small sample size. It's 2-0, but that's certainly better than the alternative. But they've been very much validated in all of the decisions that they made in the offseason, and they're paying big dividends. But the biggest one, like you mentioned, is Daniel Jones. And I'll say it. I've said it 100 times. I'll continue to say it. The biggest thing that impresses me about him is that he does not at all look like a guy that's only been here since March. The way that he's been able to, rally the troops, and it's really unfair what we do to quarterbacks, especially at the highest level in the NFL. Those guys have so much on their plates, and every play seemingly we judge them and we rank them. We've got quarterback power rankings every single week. They play with a huge amount of scrutiny on their shoulders, and what he's been able to do in terms of mastering the playbook, but also just the intangibles that come with the responsibility of a quarterback. You have to be, for lack of a better term, somewhat involved in instilling the culture of the locker room and kind of policing complacency, being a leader. You got to stalk out guys that maybe are on the fringe of buying in. And that's a hard thing to do, for a new guy. And again, this is a locker room that has a core of guys that have dealt with a lot of new guys. And Daniel Jones is doing just such a fantastic job of connecting with all of his teammates. And I think that matters. And, we say it all the time. It's kind of cliche in sports, but sometimes you just know it when you see it. And I think you see that this group has the it factor, and you don't really know what that is, but it's very important. And it just kind of shows up in the way that guys, talk with one another and hang out with each other. And those good relationships and those good vibes in the locker room carry over to the game field. And it's just, it's very enjoyable to watch this team. And, that hasn't obviously always been there in the recent past. This team's missed the playoffs 4 years in a row, but it looks like this team is just a little bit different, a little bit more connected, more bought in. And for all the different reasons that has added up for that to be the case, it's pretty impressive the way that they've been able to get off to a fantastic start to the season.
And Matt, I wanted to ask because, on paper, this is the NFL, right? So you're going to have a challenge every single week, but on paper, the Titans 0-2 haven't played well. I don't think nationally there's probably a lot of expectations for Tennessee, but just, is there one or two things that they do really well that can give the Colts some trouble this week?
Well, Cam Ward's got a lot of Anthony Richardson in him. I mean, he is tremendously talented. He is oozing with athleticism. He's got great arm strength, and his buy-in is there. I mean, you're reading reports out of Nashville all the way back to, the spring and OTAs. I mean, classic rookie that's the first one in, last one to leave, wants to be there for his teammates. So he's got that character about him too. But you're right, Dustin. I mean, obviously an 0-2 start with a rookie quarterback, you're going to have your ups and downs. And, offensively, they rank last in the NFL in a lot of major categories, total yards and passing. They've only scored one touchdown on the season. Cam Ward's been sacked 11 times. That's the most in the NFL through 2 games. They've had to settle for a lot of field goals. But if you go back and you actually watch the game film, the sum of the parts are better than some of the collective individual parts, if that makes sense, of their defense. They don't have a lot of household names on that side of the ball, but they play good together, and that's kind of scary. And they've lost the first 2 games of the season, but again, if you've watched, they've actually led in the second half in both games. So they've blown a couple leads. They kind of melt down in the fourth quarter. They've suffered 23 penalties in the first 2 games of the season. So there's some self-infliction going on there. But, all can be righted with a division win. As we all know, it's the first division game of the season for both teams. So 0-2 can quickly go to 1-2. And especially when you get a victory against a team that's trying to win a division in the Colts, it's the classic case of, you play twice a year. So you win, they lose. It counts twice in the ledger, if you will, with those AFC South games. So it's a very, very important game for both teams. And I still think the Titans think in the back of their mind that, the season's not lost and they can right this ship with a big win against the Colts on Sunday.
Well, absolutely. And go ahead, Dustin.
No, I was going to ask, and I don't know, again, I think this is just because, Matt, I've heard Rick Venturi talk about this during the last 2 broadcasts, and I'm wondering, I'd like your perspective on this. 2-0, I'm not going to complain in any way, shape, or form about being 2-0, especially the way history has gone for the Colts. But is there at least a slight level of concern about turning those field goals into touchdowns in the red zone? I know they've gotten by with it. They were fine week 1 against Miami, but I've heard Rick Venturi and you kind of discuss it on the air, being able to turn, it feels like the next step maybe for that offense is to convert and turn some of those field goals into touchdowns when they get into the red area.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, great point. I mean, that is probably the biggest blemish for the Colts. They've been perfect and so impressive in so many areas in the first 2 games. So it's tough to nitpick, but if you are, that's where you start. The Colts are 5 for 12 scoring touchdowns inside the red zone. So they actually, you can look at that one of 2 ways, right? The first way is like, man, that percentage isn't very good. And that's where games seemingly, boil down to, right? They're won and lost inside the red zone. Those are 4-point possessions when you don't score touchdowns and have to settle for field goals. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, well, they've had 12 red zone drives, which is the most in the NFL, right? So they're moving the ball and they're getting themselves into a position to score. And that's sort of the silver lining in it is like, the Colts they've scored points on 12 of their 15 possessions so far on the season. So they're incredibly efficient, but they could just be even more efficient if they can find ways to execute at a higher level inside the 20-yard line. And again, that's a very nitpicking thing to do because every team is trying to be better in the red zone. The red zone's really hard, as you guys know. The field shrinks, the windows get tighter. That's when teams heat you up seemingly the most. They blitz and they come after you, make you throw before you want to, make you throw off your back foot, just because they know the difference between giving up a touchdown and a field goal. If you give up a field goal as a defense, you feel like in the back of your mind that you kind of won. You kind of stem the tide, and you've got a little bit of momentum, on your sideline as you go back to the huddle. So, it's one of those things that they They've got to get better at that, no question about it, if they really want to be a contender this year. But 12 red zone drives in the first 2 games of the season is incredibly impressive. And I think water will find its level in that regard in a good way for the Colts.
Yeah, I talked about the schedule earlier in the last week or whatever, but that normally we see a lot more divisional games up front. But weirdly, this season, the Colts schedule, their first 12 games, over half of the season, they play one divisional opponent, Tennessee. Now, they play them twice. Ironically, again, they'll be done with Tennessee before they get to another divisional opponent. But they play all of their divisional opponents virtually up front. But it's everybody until they get to the back half of the season.
Yeah, but you know what, though? Sign me up for that, because I
was going to say, is that better because you are better set to play your divisional opponents by then, I would imagine.
And you know, I think people look at this conversation and they say, well, what the heck's the big deal and what's the difference? Because you got to play everybody.
I figured they were saying, who are these goofy jack legs?
You know, that's true too, right? But I think it's important because, you know, it's been the other way around for the Colts the last couple of years, and every team has their schedule inequities and things they point to on how they're getting screwed out of, you know, rest time, or we got to play on Monday night, or this team's coming off a bye, and yada, yada, yada. But, you know, the Colts' biggest schedule inequity seemingly the last couple of years has been their schedule has been so front-loaded with AFC South games that, you know, if you don't get off to a good start in those games and you don't take care of business and you kind of stub your toe, there's no margin for error in the back half of the schedule, right? There's been a couple of years where, you know, the Texans and Colts were the two, you know, favorites, if you will, to win the AFC South in a respective year. Well, their season series would be over by Halloween, right? So you got to go November and December without playing each other, and you don't get that direct head-to-head matchup, those big swing games that, you know, mean so much when it comes to, you know, who wins the division and stuff like that. So it's really, really important that the Colts get off to a good start and kind of build up some margin of error before they start playing all these AFC South games towards the end of the season. But I like that. I do. I think that's going to make the latter half of the schedule, you know, late November and December. It's going to feel like, you know, college football playoff play-in games, just like the one this weekend for IU and Illinois. That's going to go a long way in deciding if either one of those teams makes the college football playoff. So I like the fact that the schedule is backloaded for the Colts. They're going to feel like AFC South championship games, de facto playoff games. They're going to have a lot of weight and a lot of magnitude, you know, once the weather starts to turn.
Happy National Cheeseburger Day from Fulton there, Matt. You mentioned Halloween. That gives me a great idea. I know what I'm going for is Halloween. I'm going as Matt Taylor, baby.
Uh-oh. Oh, well.
I don't know how I'm going to pull it off, but
I think you just need a Cole's gift card and you're all set. Right, little slacks and a polo and the same haircut that I've had since I was 13. I think you're all set, ready to go right there. It's not that hard.
I look forward to it. One more thing I want to ask before you go is what your thoughts on Tom Brady. I saw in the game this week, I think it was a Monday night game, he's sitting in the coach's booth with headsets on, which, you know, he's a minority owner of the Raiders. He's a minority owner. But as a Fox broadcaster, he meets – last year they didn't allow him. This year they're allowing some things, but meets with the coaches and certain players, quarterbacks, before each game. If I'm like, no, after I saw that, I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think I would like that much.
Well, here's my take on it, and I don't mean to downplay your question. But if you've ever been inside these, they call them production meetings. So typically, you know, behind the curtain. So what typically happens is like, let's say you're, I don't know who's Tom Brady with. Is it Kevin Burkhardt on Fox? So, anyways,
I don't recall.
Let's just assume that it is. Okay, so Fox's top broadcast team has, let's say, they've got Raiders versus Seahawks this week. Okay. So the game is in Seattle. So what they typically do is they fly to Seattle on Friday and they'll meet with the home team, and they'll go to the team's facility or the stadium, depending on where the team works out of. And they'll have a production meeting with the team on Friday, the home team on Friday, and, sit down with the quarterback, the head coach, maybe the offensive coordinator or key player on defense. Okay. There's intel being discussed, but not like you think. It is very tip of the iceberg type of conversation. It's
probably stuff that changes from the game to game.
No. They're going to tell you, what we're watching out for. But again, not to downplay your question, but any moron can figure out what the other team's going to key on. It is very tip of the iceberg. It's not a whole lot of game. The production meetings aren't as deep as people think that they are. It's basically just sort of to get quotes, write down some information in case the game gets out of hand, and then kind of fill time with. And then they do the same thing with the other team on Saturday at the other team's hotel. So when the visiting team flies in on Saturday, the day before the game, they'll go to the team hotel, do the same thing with the visiting team. So again, Tom Brady's sitting, if he's a minority owner of the Raiders and he's sitting with the other team's head coach and best player, he's not going to come away with a whole lot of information and nuggets they can give to the Raiders to give them a schematic advantage.
Matt Taylor, voice of the Indianapolis Colts. Make sure you're catching him on Sundays. And this Sunday, it's at 1:00 as the shoe is in Nashville to try to go 3-0. Matthew, I thank you as always. What are your thoughts on Indiana, Illinois Saturday prediction?
I like it. I do. I like it. I wish I could be there.
I like it a lot.
I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be one of the all-time great home games in the history of Memorial Stadium in terms of magnitude. But, I think Indiana, to me, I don't know how you guys have been talking about this game all week, I'm sure. But to me, this game has a lot of a feel, just as a fan, as an outsider. This game feels a lot like the Michigan game last year, where they've got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. But Indiana being the home team, and I just think throughout the course of 4 quarters, they make a couple of plays here and there and kind of grind them out, and they win a tight, close game in the 4th quarter, similar to how that Michigan game went last year.
I hear you. Matt Taylor with the Indianapolis Colts. Appreciate you as always, my friend.
All right, guys. Be well.
You as well, buddy. Matt Taylor joining us as he does each and every week. Brought to you by our friends down at Reynolds Family Dentistry down in Sellersburg for our Southern Indiana listeners. Make sure you go in and see Dr. J. Keep your smiles and the doctor away that way. The official dentist of Todd Leary and myself. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. The Griff, Coach Griff, and Dustin Schutte will ride his train back in as we'll be back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages from your favorite people in the world. Oh, that's Dustin Schutte and Coach Griff, right? Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. We've got the group going on, Coach Griff, as well as Dustin Schutte from Boilers on SI. What was so funny? What did I miss?
Dustin holding up the Manchester College or Manchester University.
Oh, I
pennant.
missed it.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, absolutely.
Number one student.
Oh, that's right. That's where isn't that where Matt went?
No, that's where I went.
Matt went to Franklin.
Yep.
Franklin, okay.
Yeah, he was doing the play-by-play at Franklin when I was in the Heartland Conference with.
That's what it was.
Mike Leonard, who is a tremendous person and coach.
I have to share this story because I think Shannon's the reason I graduated from Manchester, and I doubt he remembers this because he probably taught 2,000 kids when he was there.
Did he leave his cheating notes behind for you?
No. So we had to take my freshman year. I think it was just called like health and wellness or something. I don't remember, but I believe a lot of athletic coaches taught those classes at the time. And early in that semester, I had forgotten to do an assignment. And I mean, it was basically just like, what's your favorite color, but a college version, right? It was like, just fill out the 3-page assignment. So I don't know what I was doing. I completely forgot to do it. And so and Shannon's my teacher, instructor, professor, whatever you want to call him. I walk in there and I say, I don't have it done. And just stares at me right in the eyes and is like, man, if you can't get work done for this class, you're not going to last here very long.
That kind of reminds me when I had sports information class with Kit Klingelhofer.
And let me tell you, that was with the football coach intensity. That was enough to get my butt in gear. Got the assignment. He gave me a second chance to get it done, bring it in the next day, and I don't think I missed an assignment for that class ever again.
Yeah, yeah. You know the old saying. You got to get the work done.
That's right. That's right.
A lot of big games, not a lot of huge games on tap this weekend. Actually, the biggest I would think is the Indiana-Illinois game with two ranked teams going at it. The other game, you've got Miami. Are they hosting Florida or at Florida? I don't remember.
Hosting. It's at Miami.
Yeah, I don't see Florida having much of a chance there. Carson Beck is. I call him Old Dead Eyes. He's just, buddy. He's looking pretty good so far. Once we get another week into the college football season, then we can start talking Heisman candidates. The stuff, like, if I see one more stinking list that has Arch Manning on it, I'm going to throw up. It's stupid.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. But some good games coming up this weekend. Auburn at Oklahoma. There's a couple of ranked teams. Auburn freshly into the top 25. Haven't been ranked since 2021. Can you believe that?
Wow. That's amazing.
Surprising.
That is surprising.
Yeah, that was nuts. Florida State, the surprise of the season so far to me, 46.5 point favorite over Kent State.
Wow.
The Seminoles are back, baby.
They weren't even ranked, were they, in the early polls? But they jumped.
Why would they have been?
I know, but you talk about a team that was nowhere on the radar, has a great game, wins the ball game, and they immediately jumped into the top 25, almost at what I get it. But there's your stomping point of it's about the name on the front that has to do with the ratings and not.
Now they didn't hurt themselves at all by starting the season off with a kind of a stunner of a win. Who did they beat in their opening week?
Alabama.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That does a lot of things for you. But how good is Alabama?
Yeah, so that's the other part of it too. To that point, like they're not going to drop out. They don't want to drop Alabama that far and look dumb early, so they've got to jump Florida State up all those spots. So it's like it's a name brand, and then it's who'd you beat, and if you beat somebody that they thought was going to be really good, it's they don't want to swallow that pill too early in the year.
I've got an upset special for the Big Ten this weekend. Maryland at Wisconsin is getting 10 points.
Yeah.
And Maryland's been putting some points on the board. Wisconsin has not exactly been lighting it up, and they have a backup quarterback at play, although this would be his third week, I think, going at it. But that's attractive.
Maryland's giving 10?
No, they're getting 10.
Oh, yeah. I'd take Maryland.
Oh, yeah, all day long and twice on Saturday.
Yeah, their quarterback is scary good. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, and Wisconsin is going with the old backup man.
They're in trouble. They're in trouble.
This is why.
Not to interrupt you, but their quarterback was from Maryland. Billy Edwards Jr. or whatever. But go ahead, Dustin. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that Wisconsin, to me, we'll see how the rest of it's 3 games, right? So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But Wisconsin, to me, is a prime example of be careful what you wish for. Firing Paul Chryst might be the dumbest thing that school has ever done. I mean,
but talk about getting. I've got to be honest. It looked good on paper, though, didn't it? When it happened, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking, ooh, that's a pretty good hire.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. But in that same breath, that it just goes to show that there are no guarantees in college football. Wisconsin thought, hey, we get 9 wins every single year. We think we can do that no matter who our coach is. And then they think we need to go from 9 to 11 to try to get into that college football playoff. And they thought Luke Fickell was going to do it. Well, he's ended up being worse.
Yeah.
To this point, we'll see how the rest of the year goes. But that's if you are in a really good situation, it's not always the best move to move on.
Yeah, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Except
here's another pick
money.
For you guys. Central Florida giving up 7 to North Carolina at home.
Yeah, I think that's a good. I might lay the points there. I think Carolina right now is in a mess. I mean, that whole thing is a complete, from A to Z, and I don't know how they recover there. It's so bad.
Didn't we see this coming though, to an extent?
Oh, I don't see how things could be bad with how well it's gone with Coach Belichick and his girlfriend. I mean, it seems like just a beautiful. And you've got, is Bubba Cunningham still the AD there? A guy lining his pockets by getting his team in the NCAA when they didn't. Oh boy, we could just go on and on. Man, it's been a blast as always. Big thanks to Coach Griff, to Dustin Schutte from Boilers on SI. We're back tomorrow to do this again. Bill Bender from the Sporting News will join us, along with Todd Leary, Zach Osterman, and Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. Guys, thank you, sirs.
Tailgate tonight, 7:30. Come join me.
Make sure you're following Dustin Schutte as well. Appreciate each and every one of you. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.